Alright, what is going on, guys? Got another breakdown for Bellator 273. This one's on the main card at featherweight. We got Aiden Lee taking on Henry Corrales. Fun matchup. Lee is 26 years old. Corrales, the veteran, 35. Lee is going to have a decent advantage in height and a significant advantage in reach, 5 inches. So I will start with Aiden Lee. Spent some time with Cage Warriors, had varying degrees of success there. I think he went like 4-2. But notable win there. Choked out Ludovic Klein. Granted, it was in 2017, so it was a little bit ago, but it's a good win to have in your resume. With Bellator, he is 2-2, I believe. Or no, he's 3-2, excuse me. Last loss to Aaron Pico. So it's a decent loss to have. I still think Aaron Pico is solid. I think he just got pushed a little too hard early. So he's really coming into the zone. It's going to happen. Henry Corrales did beat Aaron Pico a little bit ago. He was a plus 400 underdog in that one, but MMA math doesn't really apply here. Aaron Pico is always getting better. But he did bounce back in his last appearance with Bellator. Choked out Alexander Osterov, and he does have a handful of submissions on his resume. He uses those long limbs. He's a big featherweight, very rangy, and it's not necessarily technique and technical skill on the ground. He just uses his physicals to outwork his opponents, keep body triangles, working rear naked chokes, and again, it's not necessarily the most technical, but if you watch him on the ground in his fights, it does seem to work for him. You know, there's something to be said for just having physical attributes that your opponent doesn't have, and that's what I see a lot in his grappling game, and it's why he has a handful of submissions. I think that if he wants to go that route, there's a chance he has success here. Henry Corrales has struggled with grapplers at points in his career, but on the feet, Aiden Lee, rangy striker, he's got a good jab, and he's not a guy that likes to just sit and use his range, just work the jab. He pushes a furious pace on the feet. Defensively, he could be a little bit better. He doesn't really move his head a whole lot, but that's because he just keeps a relentless pace on the feet. You know, his offense kind of lends to its defense, but yeah, he can get countered, and Henry Corrales likes to counter, so it could be a problem. But he does have that reach advantage, and I think that is going to be a big factor in this fight, Aiden Lee having all these height and reach advantages. But yeah, I like Aiden Lee, well-rounded. I just can't really get a read on his ceiling. This is a big proving fight for him. Kind of decides which way his career is going to go, if you ask me. You know, I mean, he's still only 26, but it would suck to drop to 9-6. You know, have a 500 record in Bellator. You definitely want to be moving in a different direction. So it's a big fight for Aiden Lee. I'm looking forward to this matchup. One of the more tight matchups on the card from a betting perspective. And then Henry Corrales, longtime Bellator veteran, has had some solid wins, was fighting towards the top of the division not too long ago. All of his losses here are to very game opponents: Patricio Pitbull, Darian Caldwell, Juan Archuleta. And he lost to Johnny Campbell last year, was choked out in the second round. So like I was saying earlier, Henry Corrales does struggle with grapplers, but if you see here, he's been training at Fight Ready MMA, great gym out there with Henry Cejudo. We just saw what that camp switch did for Divas and Figueiredo, so it is good to keep in mind he's out there working with a gym that can maybe plug the holes in this game. Striking-wise, though, he's very game. He's got some solid power and very good counter-striking. You know, I think that there's a chance where he can just sit there and take some punishment from Aiden Lee, because Lee doesn't pack relentless power. He'll just keep that jab coming, but it's like I said, if you can kind of settle in on it, you can counter, and I think that Henry Corrales does have that type of counter-striking ability, especially later in his career here. He is 35 years old. He's been looking to counter a lot more in these fights, but I do worry about him on the ground in this one, and it's like I said, it's not necessarily that Aiden Lee is the best grappler in the world, but he is big. He uses his physicals effectively on the ground. It helps him get submissions. It helps him keep position. And Henry Corrales has been choked out a couple times, including last year. So it is definitely worth keeping in mind in this one. But from a betting perspective, man, I went back and forth on this one. Earlier in the week, Aiden Lee was at plus 124, and I really liked Aiden Lee in that spot. Now he's at minus 130. It's not as great, but at the end of the day, still good value, especially this card. I'll be honest, not a lot of good betting spots in this card. I didn't bet a whole lot on it, just a couple small wagers on a few matchups. And I did research for more matchups that I'm going to be betting on. It's just, couldn't find angles in a lot of these fights. There's a lot of juiced lines, and I don't like juiced lines. So Aiden Lee at minus 130, if you like Aiden Lee, it's still a good price. And I am going to side with Aiden Lee in this one, but it's close. It's really a coin toss. Could say dog or pass, because as the fight approaches, I like Henry Corrales more and more, seeing those plus odds, but I just like the physicals for Aiden Lee. I like his game. It's well-rounded. It's just like I said, I cannot get a read on how good he is. I think this is a do-or-die fight for him. He's 26. He's got a lot of experience now. There's a chance that he could start leveling up, but I like Aiden Lee on the feet. I like him on the ground. I think he's going to have a clear advantage if he goes to it. He's good at getting body lock takedowns from the clinch. Again, it's the same deal in the clinch. He just uses his physicals very effectively. He's good at getting those trip takedowns because his legs are just longer than his opponent, So I think that Aiden Lee has multiple paths in this fight. He just has to watch getting countered, which is very possible. So that is the one thing to keep in mind if you want to tail my read here on Aiden Lee. But yeah, I like Aiden Lee at minus 130. Didn't make a huge wager on it, but it is on Bet Tips MMA. Link is in my description. So thanks for watching, guys. Sure, subscribe, and take it easy.